Hi everyone, welcome to our second week of our Biology 101 course. So I know last week was a little confusing because there was all of this stuff that you had to look at, and then you kind of got into the actual learning new things. And so this week will be a lot different since we've taken care of kind of the orientation stuff, and we're going to start getting into basically a very similar process of learning through the remainder of the term. So just a reminder, if you have not had a chance to introduce yourself, do make sure that you have introduced yourself in our forum post. For those of you that have already introduced yourself, take this week to kind of go through and look at your other fellow classmates' profiles and see, if you can come up with anything that relates you to that other student. So some students might find that they have the same career aspirations or the same hobbies and things like that, or the same life conditions where you have children or something like that might get you on the same scale. So it's always a good idea to kind of take a look at what other people in the class are up to and so forth. If you have not had a chance to purchase your access code for the Adigia online textbook, you do need to do that this week because you have your first topic 1 quiz that's due Wednesday, and so that will include some of the information from our textbook as well as information from our workbook. If you haven't had a chance to sign the indemnity form, so do make sure you do that. And then you should be getting your materials. So the workbook, hopefully it'll come in the mail this week if you ordered it online. If you haven't had a chance to order it, make sure you do so now, because next week you won't get the copies from the workbook that we're providing the first 2 weeks of the course. And then also your lab kit, you will start using material from that starting next week. So do make sure that you have ordered it online through the bookstore and it's being shipped to you now, or you make your way over to the bookstore and obtain the kit there. Okay. And then finally, make sure that you have already completed that orientation quiz. So what we did this week, or this past week, make sure that you have, taken that pre-concept survey. So this will actually close, I believe, on Thursday. So if you forgot to do it last week, you still have some time to complete this 5 extra credit point assignment. I will be taking basically Monday to go through our T1, S1 through S4 assignments and looking at what you posted. So I will be posting feedback for each and every student. So do make sure that sometime, maybe midweek this week, you go back into our topic 1 workbook assignments and revisit not only what you posted to see if you got the questions right and the feedback that follows, but what other students in your group posted, so that you can kind of check your answers with them. Okay. So for example, this first assignment that we did, you chose 2 hypotheses, and the other students in your group should have chosen 2 other hypotheses. So by just the sheer number of students that are in your group, all of the hypotheses should have been written about at least once. And so you can kind of go back and see if your answers match theirs, okay? And check your answers. So even though you're being assigned particular questions to post, you should be doing the entire assignment on your own. So this is an opportunity for you to go back and check your work with what other students posted. The only thing from topic 1 that is still outstanding, aside from your pre-concept survey, is this topic 1 quiz. So this topic 1 quiz, you'll want to take sometime in the next couple of days. So some students wait until they get the feedback from their assignments and be able to check the workbook answers before they proceed to take the actual quiz. So that's why the quiz is due this Wednesday. So once you do decide to take the quiz, just note that you have 5 attempts. and it only covers information from topic 1. So you won't see information from this week's topic in the quiz. This particular quiz, since you get 5 attempts, if you don't get 5 out of 5 on the first quiz, take it again and again and again until you reach the 5 out of 5. Do note that sometimes the questions might not be the same though. All right. So once you've completed all of topic 1 and you're all done and ready to go, then we're going to get into topic 2, the slippery slope of life. So the slippery slope of life, we're going to take a look at our due dates calendar. So hopefully Monday you will be taking care of beginning the reading in your Adigia textbook, maybe even starting to look at the assignments, okay? Don't forget your topic 1 quiz is due Wednesday midnight. So the rest of the week you'll be working through the topic 2 assignments, and we actually have 5 that are due this Sunday. Okay. Now I was noticing I've been logging in every day into our Moodle site last week. And I noticed that a lot of you are not posting any answers until the very end, okay? So I highly recommend that if you have the assignment done, you post it earlier in the week. So there's 2 reasons for that. One is that you don't forget. And then the second one is that if there's something majorly wrong with your posted answers, I'll email you so that you have a chance to fix it before the actual deadline. So if you're waiting till last minute to post your answers, you're not going to get that feedback from me. So if you mess up, sorry, I won't have a chance to warn you before the deadline approaches. So even though our assignments are due Sunday midnight, feel free to post them earlier than that, okay? All right, so the first part of our topic 2 is to kind of review what you learned from topic 1. So we have a summary video from Dr. Blackwell that kind of gives us a summary of what we looked at last week. And then he also introduces basically the slippery slope of life in our topic 2. So he'll go through some of the information that is presented in the textbook, but he's kind of summarizing it, so it gives you a good I guess preparation for the textbook part. So you have our second reading assignment. So this is topic 2 out of your Adigia textbook. So don't forget, you have to go back up to our Adigia online textbook link. So that's always going to be in the introduction section of our Moodle site. And you're going to be focusing on topic 2. So if you have not received an email from me, you are logged into my section and I am looking at your topic 1 scores and things like that. So you're set. If you did receive an email from me stating that you haven't enrolled, but you do know that you enrolled and you presented your access code, it may have been that you enrolled in the wrong section. So just let me know so that I can ask the rep for Adigia to move you over into my section so that I know that you're actually completing those quizzes within the textbook. So we're on topic 2 this week. And it's a little bit more extensive than topic 1. So you're going to be answering questions along the way through the different topics within our Adigia textbook. Okay, so we have a number of different topics. All right. So let's go back to our reading assignment. For those of you that have not received your workbook in the mail, this big workbook in the mail, or haven't picked it up from the bookstore, this is the last week that we actually give you the pages out of that workbook. So starting next week, you're not going to see A here. You're not going to see the topic 2. So this is the last week. So here's basically what we're going to be working through this week. Now, I suggest for you to take a look at the first page of topic 2, or the first 2 pages of topic 2, And just, use your textbook maybe, or, think about what you already know and answer the questions. Okay, so this is just kind of our preparation objectives, even though it's not submitted or anything, but it gives you some background before you actually get into the workbook assignments. Okay, so you can use your textbook to help you, or, if you know these off the top of your head, like some of you already know what an atom is, you can just kind of jot down in your own words. Okay, so that's there for you. Now this week you have different assigned roles than last week, okay? So I switch these every single week. So do pay attention to the assigned roles for topic 2. And I'm recording this early, so this might be different than when you actually look at the topic 2 assigned student roles under topic 2 on your Moodle page, okay? Once you figure out what student number you are, make sure you have that written down somewhere so that when you answer or post your answers to the assignments, that you include that student number in the subject line, okay? So let's take a look at our first assignment. So the first assignment is the characteristics of life assignment. So let's take a look at that. There it is. Now the first part, you're not going to be able to answer on your own. So you're going to need to go back into Moodle and watch this video, Artificial Life. So you're going to watch the video and answer questions 1 through 3. Okay, these first 3 questions based on what you learned from the video. Then you're going to answer questions 4 and 5 from the same page. As you work through this interactive animation, let's make a microbe, okay? And then, it should open up, but if it doesn't for whatever reason, like, especially if you never signed into an into a PBS or OPB page, you might have to actually click on a different link, okay? So this link, printable version, is written in the descriptions if you can't actually access the animation part. So you can use this printable version. Okay. So once you go work through that animation, then answer the questions for 4 and 5. And you'll notice 5 has parts A through D. When you're answering question 5, first part, you're going to explain what the container part means, and then the reality check, has this been actually created, okay, artificially? If so, how? So it's a 2-part question. So you might not know, okay, well, what's the engine? Well, that will be explained in the animation or the printable version. And once you kind of explain what that means, then state if they've actually achieved it, okay? So that's the questions 4 and 5. Get rid of that. Okay. Moving on, you're going to be completing the rest of the workbook just by answering the questions directly, okay? So pages 37 through 42. So 37 through 42, some of this you'll get from your textbook. So state what the cell theory and things like that. When you are answering these questions, it's always a good idea to answer things in your own words. So don't just copy directly from the textbook. It'll help you remember them a lot easier, okay? So you'll be answering all of these questions along the way, okay? Now notice there's a block here from topic 39 and then over here to topic 42. So you still have to answer these questions as well. All right. So once you've completely answered all of the questions from our S1, our slippery slope of life assignment, T2S1, then you're going to take a look at what your assigned role was and just answer those questions. So if you were assigned student 1 from our topic 2 student roles, then when you're posting your answers below, just put in the subject line your student number, if you're student 1, and then in your response, you're going to be answering the questions. So make sure it's clear for other students to be able to navigate. So sometimes, again, students put the entire, page 37, number 1, and they'll actually write out the question too. So you're welcome to do that. But at the very least, just include, the page number and the question number, and then your answer, and separate them. In the last, in topic 1, I did notice that some students were like lumping everything together in a single sentence. It can be confusing for students to check their answers against yours because everything's kind of lumped together. So make it a little bit more organized and separate the questions from each other in different lines of text. Okay, so everybody has 3 questions to answer, but just notice that, like, for example, 5C, there's 2 parts to that question, so you need to answer both parts. Okay, so we're going back to 5C. Okay, that's the instructions inscribed, so you have to answer both parts to get full credit. All right. So that's the first activity. So this is due by Sunday midnight. Okay. Remember, that's the deadline. That doesn't mean you need to post it by then. Highly recommend you post your answers well before Sunday midnight, because I'll go through and kind of check them along the way during the week. And if there's anything that stands out that's completely wrong, I will go ahead and let you know. All right, so moving on to our second assignment. So this is Why Water lab assignment. So this is a lab-based assignment. So you're going to move on in our topic here to the why water. So before viewing the video on water, read through these questions so you'll be better prepared. So basically, make sure you read these and then watch the video. So this is the first page, questions 1 through 6, and then watch the video and answer the questions. Okay, pretty straightforward. We also have a little mini lecture on polar molecules, since that can be kind of a confusing topic. So there's a little blurb about that. Also, you can take a look at information in your textbook. But this gives you kind of a little bit more in depth about what polar molecules are. Then you're going to answer questions on page 44 and 45. Okay, so this is introducing 2 types of bonds. So we have our covalent bonds as well as our hydrogen bonding. So here we're trying to see where the hydrogen bonding is occurring between 2 water molecules. Okay, so you're going to draw the positive and negative electrical charges. So which is the positive end and which is the negative end of a polar water molecule. If you still don't know what polar molecules are, there's a lot of videos on YouTube. So you could just go to YouTube and just, in that search line, just put polar molecules, and there's a lot of just educational videos that will help explain it in a more visual format if the textbook's just not working for you. Okay, so you'll be answering these questions using the help of this drawing. You'll need to draw on it. So you're going to be drawing the positive and negative. You're also going to be drawing the hydrogen bonds between the molecules here. You're going to label the covalent bonds, which are different from hydrogen bonds, okay, within the figure. And then explain, basically why a hydrogen bond cannot be between 2 hydrogen molecules. You'll also use a second drawing here. So this, you're going to be drawing the hydrogen bonds formed when it freezes in this example, okay, and explain, why it looks different. Okay, so basically what's going on with these hydrogen bonds and why does it cause ice to be less dense than liquid water. Okay, so you'll answer those. Another property of water that we'll learn about from the textbook and apply it in our assignment here is capillary action, understanding the difference between cohesion and adhesion, and why. Okay, so you might have to use your textbook to kind of make sure that you understand that before getting into this section. In our assignment here, you're going to okay, so that's just looking, okay, so that's not, for capillary action, I was just seeing what the capillary actions information is. So just, we're not going to have a half-filled Petri dish with water to show you, but, and a capillary tube to show you, but, use the textbook to help answer those questions, okay? And then finally we get kind of into an actual lab part. Now notice we have on-campus directions and then we have online directions. Now for this particular assignment, we're not using either. Okay, so you can ignore the on-campus and then you can ignore the online directions. So instead, when we get to this part, we're just going to give you the data. Okay, so you're not going to be performing the experiment at home using a lab kit or anything. Instead, you're just going to be writing in the data. So where do I get the data? Right here. So use this data. There it is. Just copy it into your workbook. Okay? So once it's copied into your workbook, then you can use that information to answer the questions on specific heat. Okay? So you'll be answering the questions based on that, as well as information from your textbook and so forth. All right, so once you've completed all of the pages from your workbook, page 43 through, 50, then you're going to go ahead and just post the answers to the questions you're assigned. So you'll add those answers. I think everybody has to answer like 5 questions. Yep, in the space below. Moving on to the endosymbiosis theory assignment. So this is more of kind of a lecture-based instead of a lab-based class assignment. So you're basically just going to be completing pages 51 and 52 from your understanding of endosymbiosis theory. So we have a little blurb about it here as well as information about it in your textbook. So you're going to be answering those questions. For this page, try to label the different parts. Okay, so this is an example of a eukaryotic cell. And if you kind of recognize it, this eukaryotic cell has a chloroplast inside of it. So I know right away that it's not an animal cell because we don't have chloroplasts. Because chloroplasts are the site of photosynthesis. And since we don't photosynthesize, this is not an animal cell. So this is an example of a plant cell. So inside the plant cell, we have a chloroplast and a mitochondrium. So you're going to take the information from your textbook and kind of just describe what are the names of these different parts. Okay, so this is the chloroplast. So, it's got these little discs, the thylakoid discs and so forth. And then we have our little kidney bean mitochondria over here. Looks like a kidney bean to me. And you can see, you're going to label the parts of it as well. So there's like an inner membrane, there's a matrix, and so forth. So use your textbook to help you identify the different parts of a chloroplast as well as a mitochondrium. Okay? And then finally, the last part is you're going to be teaching me about the cell. So we'll do that. That's actually a different assignment. So let me skip that for now. Okay? So once you've completed pages 51 and 52, you're going to post the answer to one of the questions. So if you notice, here's one question, number 6. We also have question 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So within your group of 6 students, choose one question and write the answer. Okay, so whoever answers first gets first choice, right? So I, again, highly suggest that you answer. Post your answers earlier in the week so that you don't have to do the hard question, okay? So you'll choose which one of these questions has not been answered by other students in your group and answer that question as your assignment. Okay. And then we have our Teach Me About the Cell. So this is page 53 of your workbook. And basically what you're going to be doing for this assignment is you're going to create an analogy. So one way that helps us remember the different parts of the cell and the different functions of each of the different parts is to create an analogy. So you're going to choose something that could be anything for your cell analogy. So for example, you might think of a cell and all of the different components of the cell kind of similar to a school, or maybe your work, or maybe the entire city that you live in, or anything. So just imagine something that you can kind of visualize that represents the different parts of the cell in a certain way. And you're going to create a visual aid. So this visual aid, you don't have to be an artist, but just kind of draw out whatever that analogy is. So if you're drawing your workplace, I assume you work like in a building or something like that, and show the layout and things like that. And you're going to be describing the what each representation is within that represents the parts of the cell. So for example, if you were doing the entire city, the boundary of the city, okay, the city boundary, the city limits might be considered the cell membrane, okay? So that's analogous to the cell membrane. So certain things, enter the city and leave the city through that. Then we have, for example, we need to figure out what would be considered the nucleus of our city. Okay, so what would be considered the nucleus? Well, I know the nucleus of the cell houses the genetic information, and that makes it more kind of like the CEO or the boss of the cell, because it tells the different parts of the cell what to do. So I kind of think about my city here. Well, who's in charge of a city? City Hall. So maybe I would draw at City Hall and label that as the nucleus. So you're creating a little analogy. Draw it out and things like that. Okay, so once you've done that, then you're going to post your analogy for other students to see. And then the final assignment that you're going to be working through is the buffers lab assignment. So this is something that you're actually not going to be completing the lab portion. We're going to give you data instead. But you still need to understand the concepts that are introduced. So you can ignore this online directions since you're actually not going to be completing this in your household. So ignore all that. So instead, you're just going to start over here on page 57 with the actual lab. So before you start this assignment, you want to understand the pH scale and what pH acids versus bases mean. And so you might want to read that section in your textbook that has to do with pH and understanding that. So that way you can kind of answer these questions about what makes an acid versus a base and what a buffer is. Okay. Next, we're going to be looking at the effects of acids and bases on buffered and non-buffered solutions. So this is where we're going to kind of come into our assignment here, or our Moodle page. And we're going to fill in the data tables on page 59 using this data, since we're not actually performing the lab ourselves. So if we take a look at the data, you're just going to transfer these numbers into your workbook. So we have the addition of the acid section and the addition of the base section. Okay, so if you look at that, basically copy it over into your table here. All right, and then based on the information from the results of this lab, you're going to answer these summary questions. All right, and that is it for this assignment. So it's pretty straightforward since you don't actually have to perform the lab yourself. Once you've answered all of the questions from page 57 all the way through 62, again, you're not doing the actual lab, you're just writing in the data, then you're going to transfer the information from your assigned questions into the discussion board. So you'll notice here it says cup 1A, cup 1B, the addition of acid. So that goes back to that table. Okay, so if we go back to the table, the addition of cup A to cup B with the acid. Okay, so this student is basically just going to be kind of, I think you're just Are you averaging? No, it doesn't even say. So you're just writing it down for everybody. And then and then you're answering the questions. So everybody has to be look at the, write down the assignment, okay, the assigned part of the table, as well as answer 2 questions within there that are assigned to you. Okay, so once you're done with that, you're going to post your answers no later than January 21st, midnight. All right. Now you'll notice at the end of each of our topics, we have a study guide. So I mentioned in the previous Welcome to Week 1 video, I highly suggest that you write the answers to this study guide now while all this information is fresh in your brain. And that way it'll be useful when it's time to take your second quiz, topic 2 quiz, that's due the following Wednesday. Okay, and then also keep that study guide because it'll help you study for the midterm, which will occur in week 6. Okay, so that's it for our topics 2 assignments. Let me just double check. Yep, there's no other information in here that is due, so just make sure that you are completing your assignments on time, and then don't forget to take topic 1 quiz this Wednesday, so that you by this Wednesday midnight, so you get credit for it. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. If it's a concept type thing, we can certainly set up a Zoom meeting and we can go over whatever questions you might have about that topic, or anything that you need a further in-depth information about. Otherwise, feel free to post questions specifically to an assignment in the Ask and Share forum, so that other students can help you out, or you're welcome to email me. Okay, so good luck this week, and I will be looking for your answers throughout the week, so make sure you post earlier rather than later.